Now we are going to learn about the aggressive behavior. What is aggression? In simple terms, when one animal attacks another, we may say that it is aggressive. In this simple definition, not only physical attack is to be included, but things such as bird song, scent markings, and prey capture, etc., also be included. According to the theory of natural selection, an organism passes on its genetic traits to its offsprings and also ensure the survival of as many organisms as possible. This is all achieved when there is adequate environment of sufficient food, sufficient nest sites, sufficient hiding places, and sufficient mates. All of these things are to be defended, and the most efficient way to do this is to ward off or eliminate competitors without or expending too much energy. Suppose that the territory is occupied by either order, vocalizations, special visual displays, scent markings, or by a combination of this. There will be an advantage to the inhabitant since such signs have an intimidating effect or threatening on the intruders. If an intruder ignores the signs and tries to enter the owner's territory, the owner now shows aggression against it as a last alternative. In some cases, the aggression is usually ritualized, which means that the territory owner adopts certain body postures or facial expressions which communicate to the intruder that its presence is unwanted. In this act, the interaction involves minimum expenditure of energy on both the sides, but sometimes the situation can escalate or rise to a magnitude until a real fight takes place that can be damaging to both combatants. This whole complex of behavior is commonly termed as aggression. Aggression in animals thus occurs to fight to win the territory, to defend their young, or to obtain food, to maintain their status by fighting or by showing dominance in social organization. Pain and frustration of various kinds are also the causes of aggressiveness in animals. For man, it is very difficult to arrive at a satisfactory definition of aggression. Various authors propose that a whole range of behavior, from nail biting through verbal insults to suicide, are all kinds of aggression. The aggressive behavior of some street gangs causing eruption of violence is comparable to some animal aggression. Lawrence, in his book on aggression, described that aggression in animals and men is the result of an inherited spontaneous tendency whose properties are much the same as the biogenic drives to eat and drink. But Scott in 1958 and Montague in 1968 stated in their studies that although aggression may have an inherited basis, its expression also depends as much upon experience and external factors as the internal state of the animal. Now, let's move on to the next topic, that is the intra and interspecific aggression. In most animals, the aggression is directed towards competitors. The higher the level of competition between two animals, the greater the possibility of aggressive interaction. Aggression, therefore, can occur between the members of the same species, often called the agonistic behavior, hence intraspecific aggression. For example, in the flickers are the birds of North America, the male has a mustache at the corner of the mouth, the female being without it. If a female is captured and a mustache is painted on her and then released within the group, it will be attacked by her own mate, who regards her a competitor. Unchecked intraspecific aggression would result into havoc. If aggression is to be maintained as a response to competition, it is important that aggression should occur at certain levels so that the balance in the social system are not disturbed or upset. Aggressive interaction sometimes occurs between the animals of different species, hence interspecific aggression. The interspecific aggression is directly related to competition for commodities. For example, the quarrelsome starlings may drive away the woodpecker pair from the hole of a tree. Starlings do not show any interest in the nest hole until the latter is made by woodpeckers. Starlings become aggressive towards woodpeckers and fighting may also occur. At last, the woodpeckers are usually at a loss. Here, there is a picture shown here which indicates the flickers of North America, male recognized from female on the basis of a mustache. Prey's reaction towards its predator also involves a real aggression. A terrified wild pig may attack the young lion by showing all signs of hostility, raised tail, ears back, crying loudly, etc. At this point, the young lion shows fear, often regarded as a component of aggressive behavior. Now comes the hostility and fear components. The aggressiveness should not always be considered simply as hostility because it may be sometimes changed into fear. The two components of aggression are very similar with the example of territorial encounters between two birds living in adjacent territories. A bird B in its own territory shows aggression towards an intruder B1 and chases B1 back to its territory, but as soon as B reaches B1's territory, hostility is reduced and fear starts mounting on B because they later experience the developing warful nature in B1 in place of fear, belligerent nature. So, motivating factors of aggression. From the works done on the aggressive behavior, this appear to be mainly three different lines of thoughts on aggression. That aggression is a reactive behavior apparently only when an adequate stimulus for its release is present. That aggression is something which an animal is born with. Aggression is something which is innate, instinctive, or inherited, meaning thereby that it will be expressed even in the absence of an adequate releasing stimulus. When a releasing stimulus is happening or not happening, it will definitely gonna expressed. That aggression must be learned during the course of animals' development. Which are the three motivating factors? First one is that the aggression is a relative reactive behavior appearing only when an adequate stimulus for its release is present. That the aggression is something which the animal is born with, that is something which is innate, instinctive, or inherited, meaning thereby that it will be expressed even in the absence of an adequate releasing stimulus. That aggression must be learned during the course of animal's development. All these three characterizations of aggression are found to be correct depending upon the situation in which the animal finds itself. Innate, inherited, or instinctive basis of aggression. The general acceptance of innateness of aggression can be best explained on the basis of the Lawrence's own aggression, which states that aggression is based on an inherent spontaneous tendency. It has been shown that sticklebacks reared in complete isolation from the egg stage set up territories and attacked rival males in a typical manner. Experiments of this type, isolation experiments in particular, and the role of aggression in the organization of territorial behavior in a wide variety of animals, certainly suggest that there is an important genetic component in the development of aggressive behavior. Genes may control behavior, but they must interact with developing animals' environment. Developing animals' environment. Isolation experiments and the role of aggression in the organization of territorial behavior in a wide variety of animals certainly suggest that there is an important genetic component in the development of aggressive behavior. Genes may control behavior, but they must interact with developing animals' environment. On the other hand, it is stated that even if aggression does not have an inherited basis, its expression is not inevitable. It is also stated that aggression depends as much upon experience as on any innate factor. It has been suggested that aggressive behavior is gradually learned early in life through paired. No, the aggressive behavior is gradually learned early in life through pain as a result of competing for food and play, fighting. Many aggressive patterns can be sought to operate through systems involving fixed action patterns. Innate releasing mechanisms and releases are also involved here. If we remember the example of sticklebacks, it is seen that they react to simple models with red bellies. Such behavior is the evidence of a close relationship between aggression and instinct. In another example, rats will learn mazes in order to kill mice. On the basis of the above criteria, aggressive behavior first appears to be innate or inherited, but the possibility that it may become modified through later experience cannot be ruled out. So, now we are going to learn about the learning effects on aggression. On one hand, the aggressive behavior appears to be pre programmed in the animal's genetic makeup, but on the other, its expression in the adult varies considerably in both quality and quantity. Whether these variations could be attributed to learning effects can be explained by experiments in which the type of aggressive experience to which the animals were exposed was varied. For example, an isolated male mouse was allowed to attack an intruder or rat which was hung by the tail to its cage, and it was removed as soon as the resident mouse attacked it. After a few days, it was found that the resident mouse took a shorter and shorter time to initiate the attack, meaning the way that aggression was learnt. The resident mouse had become a trained fighter. It was never hurt in the encounter, and the resultant effect of this attack was that the intruder immediately disappeared. The winner shows more threat and attack towards the end of the fight, and the loser more fleeing and submission. If the roles were reversed and the losers are trained to be winners, the process taking much longer time than in the case of the new maze at the start of the experiment, the previous losers also show no fear of the antagonist and attack immediately, while the previous winners flee or submit. This kind of behavior is sometimes called as agonistic behavior, shown in the fight situation, both aggressive and fleeing behavior, as well as mixtures of the two, and also modifiable by the experience. If an animal experiences success in its fights, then it will tend to involve them. And I'm sorry, if an animal experiences stress and its fights, then it will tend to invoke them. And if it experiences defeat, it will tend to avoid fighting. It will tend to avoid fighting.